Malaikottai Vaaliban.
Vaaliban. Okay.
It started off quite interestingly. Then what happened after 20 minutes?
Malaikottai Vaaliban. Man, that was one of the most disappointing theater experiences I had in a long time.
I'll interrupt you. It's Malaikottai Vaaliban.
Vaaliban. Okay. I don't even understand why did I even go to watch it after hearing all the negative reviews. It was a very brave decision that I took in my life. Like, I was testing my own limits of tolerance by watching it. How was it for you?
See, it started off quite interestingly, like the long frames, slow start. So I'm always in awe of like slow cinema. I love slow cinema. Like you are quite aware of it, yeah. So I felt it was going to be that slow burner kind of thing, right? And the frames at the start, like for the first 5 minutes, felt like I was watching a Arun Mateshwaran kind of movie, like the slow, like long, wide frames and all. So I think it immersed me in the first 5 minutes, and then what happened after 20 minutes? Then that's what we are going to talk about. I think it was a very mind-numbing experience, I think. Because I don't even know what was the motive of the story. Like, motive of why did Lijo make this movie? I mean, what was he thinking while making this movie? And after hearing him talk with Bharadwaj Rangan, it made me even more angrier. It didn't solve or resolve my issues with the movie. It did nothing. While watching that interview, I felt Lijo was also clueless, kind of clueless. That's what I felt. I don't know, like what other people have felt. Anurag Kashyap felt he's like the next coming of Sergio Leone.
But talking about the film, I agree with your point that the film started on a very promising note. The wide frames, the beautiful composition, until Mohanlal entered the frame and we understand that he has no clear motivation towards his goals in life. What is he trying to do or anything. We are very as clueless as the writer of the film. Like, we don't know what the character wants. We just know that the character has a lot of bravado and he's strong as fuck and he's fighting people on his way. Like, he's taking over all the strong people from different villages, and he also flirts with women. Like, he's famous among women.
About this, we see like when the scene starts from Mohanlal, he's drinking, right? He's drinking. We feel like he's good for nothing. Like वो drunken master.
Yeah.
Midway throughout the movie, he's a celibate now. वो फ्लर्ट कर रहा है लड़कियों से, वो भूल गया. वो दारू पी रहा है, वो भी भूल गया. अभी वो जैसे ही मलाईकोट्टाई आ गया वापस, he's like the god. Like अभी बन गया मैं भगवान, मैं साधु हूँ. ना दारू पी रहा है, ना लड़कियों से फ्लर्ट कर रहा है, nothing. Like जो स्टार्ट किया था मूवी से, like the characteristics of that character जो भी है, like midway of the movie भूल गया. Like क्या था वो सब? He's not the character he was at the start of the movie as the story progresses.
Like, that is common, the character changing, but changing without a reason, randomly.
Exactly, randomly he changes, right?
As per the convenience of the storyteller or the plot, is something that feels very inorganic and you can spot it from miles away. And I would say the character practices celibacy after a point. That is because he gets the girl with him on the cart and they travel to Malaikottai.
No, I think you forgot a major chunk of that movie. He goes to the palace first.
Yeah, he goes. That is in the start. Start.
So after that, he acts as a celibate. But then we never quite understood. Maybe it's quite lost in the translation, or maybe Lijo didn't provide enough context. But why does he become a celibate? Like, why does he refrain from engaging with that dancer woman? So that's quite ambiguous. There's no particular reason for whatever Mohanlal's character does throughout the movie. I mean, there's no strong
Motivation
motivation actually
behind his actions.
Yeah.
That I agree. And just for a little bit, keeping the storytelling aside, which is a very wrong thing to do when you're talking about films, the visual appeal of the film was good at points and bad at points, like which is a very hard thing to do. Being very good and also being very bad at the same time. Like if you see the saving the village from the British or Portugal oppressors.
Portuguese.
Yeah, those scenes were so terrible, so badly staged, and also so fake visually. Like you could see the sets. The production value suddenly dipped down, and there are scenes wherein they have vast deserts or some old broken houses that is walking through a tavern or something like that. Those scenes are done really well. So, were the people changed in between the movie or?
So, Lijo in his interview says that, so Bharadwaj Rangan asks him the question, ki, like whatever you did with the movie, was it your first thought? Was that image in your mind first and then it was translated onto the screen? He asked that question, right? Lijo says, no.
Fair
He
enough.
says, no, because I made whatever I could with whatever I have. And that thing is where he faltered, I think. Like what he should have done is he could have put more emphasis on the production values, because he made the movie just because he wanted to make the movie. After a point, he didn't care that much regards to the production values, because after the interval sequence, that jail where the Malaikottai people are held captive, it's supposed to evoke a sad feeling, or like we are supposed to feel sad for them, but rather we feel comical. It feels so comical, like that we are in a parody movie, like, and it's so terribly staged and framed.
So I feel if you're making that kind of a film, creating a sequence in that tone of parody, keep the whole movie in that tone so film would be cohesive and it would work, or turn that scene into the serious one like you have done for the whole film. It will stay with the tone. If you change the tone in between, it disturbs the story in a certain way and also hinders the storytelling.
Okay, production values and all of this stuff, staging, framing, we'll give it. Like he was on a shoe strip, like I said, थोड़ा budget constraint होगा या फिर personal नहीं थे, like the right personal weren't available. Okay, we'll give that liberty. ठीक है? What was that action sequence, man? Suddenly palace आ जाता कहीं से. There's a market setup suddenly from nowhere. Like he didn't even drop a hint. Like there's a market surrounding the palace, and or like there's a alleyway surrounding it. There's nothing mentioned, no mention of it, and suddenly the action sequence starts in the market. Right after he leaves the palace, I think, yeah. He leaves the palace and suddenly we are in a market. From where did the market come from?
So one of the places that a film falters big time is not establishing the place well. Suddenly he'll show things that Lijo is very familiar with, but the audience isn't, and he doesn't empathize with it. We are not sure where he is, what kind of area he's fighting in, the demographic and everything. But Lijo presents it with familiarity that he has and makes the audience feel clueless and leave the audience out on certain information, which again creates the feeling that you have, not being able to understand where he's running, which direction he's running, and how did he end up here in the first place.
And then out of nowhere, there is a cannon.
Which?
On top of the hill. There is a cannon. And the cannon faces straight, right? Like if there's a cannon, like it doesn't go down enough, but it's on top of the hill, at the bottom of the hill, and Mohanlal somehow goes on
up
top
there,
somehow.
And there are multiple cannons, not even one. Like
And
there's an array of cannons that are in
holy
360
shit, that
degrees.
scene, bro. Oh my god. Okay, we'll talk more about the negatives later, but I have a few positives. So you were talking about like Lijo's familiarity, right? So whatever we have seen of Lijo thrives in chaos. Like
Master of chaos.
He's the master of chaos, and easily he can masterfully glide through the chaos on screen. Like this chaos doesn't feel like chaos on screen.
You can present chaos really well on screen.
Yup. We have seen that in Jallikattu as well, and Angamali Diaries, right? And his characters are right on the screen, and we are only interested on the character even midst of the chaos, right? So towards the end, Lijo shined through. That's the only part. That's the third act, right? Third act is the only part where we saw that Lijo made this film. Like that's the only positive where he shined. And coming to another aspect, like a positive aspect, is Danish Sait's character. I felt he really shed that comedy actor, the stereotypically characters he does. Like he's a comic character actually, right?
Yeah.
But then he sheds it off quite easily as the psychopath king.
Yeah.
I think these were the only two positives that I can think of right now.
Danish Sait was one of the surprises even I found in the film. But his character didn't receive much importance that it deserved. Like it randomly came in, he had a stupid fight, he lost it. The whole, the tent where they used to fight, that came down. And then he has half shaved the face.
And also, we don't know what his main motive is. Q, but like the motive is evident, quite evident that he wants revenge on Mohanlal's character. That's the main motive. But why? Egotistic.
Not ego, I would say ego is one part obviously because he has lost his name of being the strongest person, king of that area. He lost it to Mohanlal and also shaved him. So that is kind of an embarrassment in that era, like getting your head shaved.
And walking, like parading through on a donkey.
Donkey, yeah.
A mule.
Mule, yeah.
So coming to that interview again, Lijo said, so he, like Bharadwaj Rangan asked Lijo, why is it short like that? Why is the movie in this format? And Lijo says, it's supposed to be in an episodic format. But there are many movies with this, like episodic format, right? Throughout those movies and like whatever we have seen, fistful of Italian westerns, spaghetti westerns, and like these episodic format movies we have seen, they are cohesive to some extent. But when it comes to Malaikottai Vaaliban, there is zero sense of coherence. Every episode, I mean, there's no proper segue to the next episode, I think. What did you feel about the editing and episodes?
There were certain places where the theater I was watching, the subtitles weren't proper. So I didn't get a lot of it, and I don't feel bad about it right now because even if he hadn't done it in an episodic manner, the film still would have been same. It wouldn't have made much difference. There was no need to do it that way. But if you had done major events of his life, the first time he gets deceived, the first fight he wins, like that changes his character. Yeah, first time he goes heads on with a establishment like the Portugal one. So those chapters of his life would have made a very interesting parts of the film which he didn't exploit on. This kind of chapters didn't work for me.
See, many movies start in the midst of something happening and like we have accepted those kind of movies, but then when we get to the second act we start to feel for the character, right? But here that never happens. Even during the third act, I felt the third act was also quite cop out. I feel adding that character, the volunteers, love interest, soap opera kind of a drama, like just here's a काफी daily serial वाला drama लगा था. I don't think so there was much thought to it. I said लिख दिया just. And then the tantric, the volunteer, another volunteer of Malay,
his dad,
mentor actually, who is his dad,
the kid's dad, yeah,
and he killing Danish Sait, that didn't make sense to me.
Suddenly
he kills him out of nowhere and he has poison. So if he wanted to take revenge on Vaaliban, then why didn't he poison?
That's because he doesn't want an easy revenge.
Or he just wants to drag the movie. The runtime is over 2 hours.
And suddenly the information is disclosed that there are superhumans on this land who can jump from peak to peak, mountain to mountain.
Bro.
And that happens to be his dad teasing the second part, which was completely unbelievable in a very bad way. Because why did that happen? Like, why wasn't the information sprinkled? There is an existence, we coexist among people who have powers that we cannot comprehend, that kind of things came in suddenly. Also, betrayal part at the end, the killing people close to you, deceit and everything, that could have been planted at the start of the film so that it grows on. While he's traveling with him, he has a little little bit of understanding that this person is a womanizer. So maybe him doing a wrong thing with my wife could be a possibility, and that would be believable for him. But there was no that kind of relation between the people and understanding between the people. Being what you say, present during those moments of the person. Coming at the end felt like a soap opera.
It just happens in like 20-minute episode.
Yeah.
जो 20 मिनट में इतना फटक से हो जाता है, that felt very unorganic actually. Like,
Big time.
Like going on with the movie doesn't feel right. Just I think there were 1 or 2 moments which we both collectively liked, I think.
The last sequence.
Yeah, apart from that, then there's nothing to talk about it.
But if you see the chaos, the celebration, that was really beautiful.
Beautiful. It's
like
shot very well.
there were, I guess, huge giraffe things that were going on. Those are very new to me. Like, I'm not exposed to that culture, but then that felt really interesting. The setting was interesting, the dances and everything, the chaos that was happening. But still, you finding Mohanlal and that guy, all the characters in that chaos is a big deal, and he has somehow,
Lijo shines there, yeah. Like the last 20 minutes were a Lijo movie, yeah.
And also, if you don't look at the Portugal part, and if you consider the whole movie, the costumes and the settings was on point. Like the jacked drummer guy, him playing the folk beats and everything,
The
and
costumes,
the costumes,
yeah.
the settings were on point. Nothing felt out of the place. But until and unless the Portugal people came in, the film starts to like fall apart in the costumes and everything. It felt weird after that.
Why were they fighting in spandex?
Yeah.
Like that.
Exactly.
Out of nowhere they come out in spandex as if like we are in 19th century. Okay, and like coming back to your superhuman point, like throughout the movie he could have sprinkled like fantastical elements, like fantasical elements, right? The fight which Danish Sait loses, उसकी माँ जो रहती है,
that
she would
was
have done something else. वैसा करते like the guy who is paralyzed, right?
हाँ.
उसको उसने कुछ जादू टोना करके कर दिया, like वैसा करता. वहाँ पे तू introduce करता थोड़े fantasy elements, then the end would have been not really relatable. I mean, but it could have made sense.
It would have felt ki this was a thought through idea. A little bit of establishment helps you, and there was a lot to make a good film from. There are a lot of ideas that were put around, but none of it were followed through.
I think that's enough. I don't want to talk about that movie anymore. Such a bad experience, bad theatrical experience, and I don't know why, but people like cinephiles, air quotes कर रहा हूँ मैं. I have seen like 7 out of 10 people saying it's a theatrical experience. Like it's supposed to be experienced in theaters. It's supposed to be experienced on a big screen. You won't get these kind of movies.
There were certain frames which felt that way.
Yeah, but just because of those frames, I'm not going to pay 200 and watch this movie. I am paying certain amount, and you should respect the audience. I mean, that's another problem with this movie. I don't know why are people. Like, see, maybe we are not Malayalis, so we might be losing a lot of subtext or context actually. Yeah,
I believe there's a cultural gap.
And I think, and he mentioned like the language they speak is not pure Malayalam. There's a bit of Tamil and Malayalam because it happens on the border of Kerala and Tamil Nadu, which is not established in the movie.
Yeah, I didn't.
We never know
until you told me.
Kerala and Tamil Nadu. He explained it after in the press meet. I mean, Lijo finds new ways of filmmaking, exposition after the movie.
But still, I have respect for the filmmaker, for the films he has made,
obviously,
and the films he's about to make.
Obviously, he's quite consistent, and he produced. He made Nan Pagal Niratu, Mayakal.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, he has been coming every year with a movie.
With a good movie, yeah.
Not this one.
Not this one, yeah. Only this one was the exception. And I agree, sometimes you make bad films. He has been making good films, and this was just one bad film in his career.
So you don't think Lijo has lost his touch?
Not one bit. I agree. Like,
After the last 20 minutes, I don't think so he lost his touch.
yeah, he tried something new and then he failed. So maybe he'll come back to something that is familiar to him in the next film, or he would work on the new concepts a little better and carefully.
I think he was in the middle of like commercializing it more and making it like a proper western. Like middling था काफी movie, ना इधर का ना उधर का.
ये न्यू लिजो तो न्यू एज नहीं है, but then there have been instances where directors who have worked with actors who aren't well versed with stardom, like the new age actors, and then they get a movie with a bigger superstar. So they do this. They tend to do this. They be it Nelson, be it Arun Matheswaram with Captain Miller.
Okay. Now we are going too far. I think we need to talk about Captain Miller then.